sports. Well, after doing volunteer work Saturday, Patrick Mahomes surprised the White House football team with a visit. Champion MVP, he spoke good things. And then later in the day, he was featured speaker at the Cowan Center on the campus of UT Tyler. A packed Cowan Center as Chiefs play-by-play guy Mitch Holtis was the moderator. Thunderous applause and standing ovation when he was introduced to the stage. Could have been Chiefs Kingdom East, as the White House native spoke about his upbringing, East Texas style. And when asked about following your dream, his mantra, he explained what he means is put the work needed to be successful. And during the meet and greet, a former high school teammate of his and his fiancée, while about to get their picture taken, Mahomes asked, "Hey, weren't we teammates?" Turns out the young man blocked for Mahomes on the offensive line in high school. You don't forget those guys. The program lasted around 40 minutes. I was in attendance. It was pretty cool. Only complaint, it wasn't longer.